Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving right into a completely hilarious classic breakdown of Doraemon Season 20, Episode 4. Today is all about Nobita's endless, and I mean literally endless, quest for lazy shortcuts, and the absolutely disastrous consequences that always seem to follow. Let's look at how avoiding a really short walk spirals into chaotic forced labor, and how trying to cheat on a simple drawing assignment leads to the ultimate embarrassment. So let me ask you this. What actually happens when a simple shortcut turns you into a literal human taxi? Sounds totally absurd, right? But man, it perfectly sets up the absolute chaos we are about to see. Imagine trying to get out of a basic 10-minute walk only to accidentally sign away your free will to the neighborhood bully. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, Nobita's Lazy Dilemma. The setup here is just classic Nobita. He desperately wants to read his friend Motoyama's brand new comic books. But Motoyama's house is a bit of a walk away. And you know Nobita, just the thought of walking makes him exhaustingly tired. That's his excuse. He fundamentally expects Doraemon to just pull a magical solution out of his pocket so he doesn't have to exert a single ounce of physical effort. And naturally, Doraemon eventually caves. Which brings us to Section 2, the Rapper Taxi. Now this brings us to a really unique little invention. It looks totally mundane, right? Like a piece of trash, but understanding how this rapper taxi functions is absolutely crucial. Think of it as a magical binding contract. This futuristic gadget instantly turns whoever steps on it into a literal driver for whoever picks up the wrapper. And the rules are super strict. Once Nobita steps on it, boom, he's bound. He completely loses his free will and just has to implicitly obey his customer, driving them wherever they want to go, no exceptions. The only way the spell is broken is if the customer explicitly says a command to let him go, like saying, "Put me down." And this perfectly captures Nobita's hilariously flawed logic. His grand expectation, he figures he's just gonna drop the wrapper, some big strong adult will pick it up, and he'll get a free, effortless piggyback ride all the way to Motoyama's house. But oh, reality hits hard. First, his friend Shizuka picks it up, but she obviously isn't physically strong enough, so he's just stuck awkwardly waiting. Then, the absolute worst possible scenario happens. The neighborhood bully, Gion, walks by and spots the wrapper. Yep, you know where this is going. Section 3, Giant's Joyride. The second Giant enters the picture, Nobita is completely trapped. Let's just map out the chronological agony of this forced labor, because it's brutal. Instead of a quick little trip, Nobita becomes a human taxi in a total nightmare scenario. Around 10 a.m., Giant spots Tsuneo crying about a ball stuck on a really high roof. Rather than, helping normally, Giant orders Nobita to climb up and do the dangerous retrieval. Then, at 10:15, when they finally get moving, Giant intentionally commands Nobita to turn left. He knows full well Motoyama's house is to the right, he's just doing it for the thrill of a joyride. And to make matters even worse, by 10:45, Giant decides to use Nobita to do all the heavy lifting and deliveries for his mom's store. Nobita just wanted to avoid a 10-minute walk, and he ends up doing hours of grueling manual labor. Jean's whole attitude is perfectly summed up right here. When Nobita finally tries to protest about missing his comics and heading in the wrong direction, Jean literally just snaps at him saying, "Keep quiet, just follow the passenger's orders." Jean takes absolute tyrannical delight in treating Nobita like a piece of machinery. He's fully exploiting this gadget's loophole that the driver cannot refuse a command. But hey, every tyrant has a weakness, right? And for Gion, it's definitely his mom. Suddenly, Gion's mom angrily yells from the kitchen, demanding help. Gion completely panics. He tries to pawn the work off on his little sister, Jaiko, whose room is upstairs. So he yells at her to get down here and help. And guess what? Because he said the magic release phrase, "get down," the gadget spell on Nobita is instantly broken. I mean, what a hilarious, purely accidental way for Nobita to finally win his freedom back. Talk about irony. He just runs off to finally get his comics, completely and utterly exhausted. Let's move right along to Act 2. Section 4, the sketch homework. So Nobita barely survives the whole rapper taxi ordeal, only to be hit with a brand new, equally terrifying problem, a mandatory school sketching assignment. And let's be real, Nobita has absolutely zero artistic talent. Zero. While Suno is out there bragging about his fancy French sketch pad, and Dekisugi is showing off his natural brilliance, Nobita is just in full-blown panic mode. He is absolutely desperate for an easy subject just so he can pass. Now, while Nobita is agonizing over his lack of skills, there's a completely separate conflict breaking out in his living room. His dad and uncle are having this super passionate, totally confusing argument about the layout of their old town from 30 years ago. His dad is swearing up and down that the order was barber shop, then stamp shop, then bookstore. But his uncle is firmly arguing, no, it was stamp shop, then barber shop. They're going back and forth, accusing each other of being stubborn, which perfectly sets up the need for our second gadget. Enter Section 5, Anytime, Anywhere Sketch. So, to stop the adults from bickering, Doraemon steps in. And here is how this magical tool, the Anytime, Anywhere Sketch, actually works. By dialing in specific coordinates and tweaking a time dial, this gadget instantly prints out a perfect, highly detailed sketch of literally any location, even from the past. Doraemon uses it super responsibly. He prints out a 30-year-old snapshot of that exact street and boom, instantly resolves the nostalgic memory dispute between the brothers. And this really highlights the overarching theme we're looking at today: gadget use versus gadget abuse. Doraemon uses technology to kindly settle a dispute and uncover the truth. But Nobita? Well, he watches this whole thing from the sidelines and his brain starts turning. He realizes, wait a minute, this gadget can perfectly draw anything. So instead of, practicing his drawing, he just waits for Doraemon to leave the room and steals the gadget. His plan? Effortlessly cheat on his homework and impress Shizuka. Which leads us directly into Section 6, the ultimate mistake. Because Nobita stole the gadget in secret, he obviously has absolutely no idea how it works. And that leads to a rapid-fire chain of sketching disasters. First off, his test print. It ends up being an accidental sketch of his own mom secretly binge-eating snacks in the other room. Oops. Next, he just blindly starts mashing and twisting these complex time and location dials, hoping he'll somehow magically land on Shizuka's current location. And the absolute kicker? He finally prints it, rolls up the drawing, and just runs off to submit it to his friends without even looking at the paper first. Literally zero effort to verify his own cheating. Meanwhile, back in Nobita's room, Doraemon discovers the stolen gadget, checks the internal spare sketch box, and literally freezes in absolute horror. Which leaves us with one final, very provocative question for you all. What incredibly embarrassing moment did Nobita accidentally dial in, print out, and blindly hand directly to Shizuka? While we will leave the exact details to your imagination, it is a truly hilarious reminder that trying to cheat the system almost always results in way more pain than just doing the actual work. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and remember guys, sometimes the longest way around is actually the shortest way home. Catch you next time.